Hi there, and welcome to today's episode of How the Game Was Won. Today we are in Tashkent, Uzbekistan for the FIDE Grand Prix, and we're looking at the round 7 game between Caruana and Gelfand, played on the 28th of October 2014. It must be noted that Caruana and Gelfand tied for the win at the previous FIDE Grand Prix in Baku, but in this tournament Caruana has been having a so-so in comparison to some of his previous performances, and Gelfand is languishing at the bottom of the tournament table. In all likelihood, both players are suffering a certain degree of fatigue from their superb performances in Baku. That being said, this game follows a classical Nimzo Indian, which I for one haven't seen played at this level in quite a number of months. But without further ado, let's have a look at how the opening moves of the game played out, and then I'll discuss various positions through the game, coming out of the opening and in certain key middle game situations in more detail. Okay, let's run through the opening. It's a d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, queen c2, d5, c takes, e takes, bishop g5, h6, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, e3. And the e3 move, as natural as it seems to be supporting the d4 pawn, is actually fairly rare. In this position, white normally plays a3 to try and drive the bishop away, or for that matter, at least try and force the exchange. But this game continued with castles, a3, bishop f5, bishop d3, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, bishop d3, queen takes d3, c5. And at the moment it looks like black should be okay in this position. He's got good piece activity, although absolutely he still needs to bring the b8 knight out into play, and he'll be able to bring that out quite easily to c6 in support of his or should I say behind his c-pawn. And really there's nothing much to worry about there. And his black's level of development, you can more or less say, is about the same as where white is. For instance, as I mentioned, he's still got his knight on b8, but then again white's still got a knight on g1, and white still hasn't castled either. So anyway, so without further ado, and white comes out with a knight to e2, and black decides to place his on d7. White castles, the queen comes across to c6, applying some degree of pressure down towards the g2 square. White continues with a4, rook fc8, rook fb1, rook c7, a5, rook ac8. What you notice here is that black has got the three big pieces all barreling down on one hapless pawn sitting down here on c3. And once for instance, the c pawn is exchanged away to d2, to d4, then if white recaptures on with the e pawn, then black will have all these pieces barreling down onto c3, and if white recaptures with the c pawn, then all of those pieces can effectively come barreling down onto c2. So we continued with h3, obviously giving a square of luft to the white king, especially with, as I mentioned, the three pieces sitting there. There's also a real chance of getting swindled into a back rank at some stage if white isn't careful. Black continues knight f6, knight g3, queen e6, and here white plays a brilliantly timed pawn sacrifice with, or pawn capture with d takes c. And now white is definitely in a stronger position. And black obviously can't simply recapture the pawn because of the additional pressure that white is able to now exert on the b7 square. For instance, one option for black here might be to play knight d7, but with queen d4, knight takes c5, knight h5, f6 and knight h4, the white is still effectively up a pawn, and the game is looking incredibly strong for white. So instead black played knight e4, and now we've got knight takes, d takes, queen comes up to d6, queen f5, rook lift on the a file, and now we come in with rook takes c5, although it must be said, for instance, if instead of taking on the c5, rook instead played rook d7 with g4, rook d6, g5, rook c5, rook b7, rook f5, rook f4. Obviously in this situation rook takes e4 is the obvious move to play, and most definitely not taking on a7. Because if white takes an a7, you've got rook d1, king g2, rook g5 check, king h2, rook dg1, and white is in serious danger of getting mated here. So doubling back to where we were before, where for instance white would be able to do rook takes e4 instead of the a7, and there's a chance of playing a6, which gives black hopes for a draw, or for that matter rook a6, rook e7, rook f5, rook a7, rook ac5. And in this situation as well, white's a little bit up, but with your rook and pawn endgame, with the one pawn advantage, is going to be still really difficult to convert. So doubling back to the actual game, black played rook c5, which allowed, as I mentioned earlier, with the weakness on b7, allowed white to come in with rook b7, gets a rook up onto the 7th rank, which is always a dangerous situation to have to face. Now we just go liquidate the position. Rook a5, rook a5, queen a5, rook f7, queen c3, rook a7. So in this situation you've got a clear pawn down for black. It's a 4 versus 3 on the queen side with a rooks and queens on the board. It's really going to be difficult for Gelfand to defend against this, and when you've still got huge, big, major pieces on the board like this, it's invariably the king that is more exposed lands up being the side that's in much more trouble here, and that becomes more clear with each and every move being played. However, it must be said in this situation as well, what doesn't help Gelfand either is the fact that he's in time trouble. So here he plays king h8, rook f7, rook e8, g4, king h7, queen d7, rook b8. As I mentioned, these moves were being banged off by Gelfand in a rather hurried fashion on account of his extreme time trouble. So white was able to find queen f5 with check, king g8, rook a7, and now comes the tricky situation of that white cannot defend both the lone and isolated e4 pawn and at the same time be able to defend against the serious mating threat that white has got going on as well. So it's either the e pawn falls or he gets checkmated. There's no ways within the current position and the exposed king that both can be defended against at the same time. So the game concludes with queen b2, the e pawn falls, rook f8, queen d5 check, king h7, rook f7, and in this position with a now 4 versus 2 queenside pawn advantage against him, Gelfand resigned the position. But for the sake of completeness, what I'll do for you here is play through a most likely line of moves, which is queen a1 check, king g2, rook f7, obviously the queen retakes, queen a8 check, queen f3, queen e8, queen d5, g6, e4, queen e7, king f1, queen c7, push the e pawn, king g7, king g2, queen e7, Queen d6, Queen b7 check, the king probably comes back down to g1, black can play g5, pawn goes to e6, king comes out to f6, which allows Queen f8 check. That's the king taking the pawn is obviously forced. Queen takes on h6, king e5, and white mops up the rest of the pawns. Now really all that white would need to do is march the pawns, at some stage or another swap off the queens that are on the board, and it's a dead certain win. So that is how the game was won. Caruana moves slightly further up the leaderboard to just above mid-table. Gelfand continues to languish way down at the bottom of the table, and hopefully to be able to redeem himself in one of the 4 remaining rounds of the tournament. Please post your comment and questions down below in the comment section. Click the little thumbs up like button, share this out amongst your chess friends, and down just below the screen you'll notice, or just below the playing area, you'll notice a big red subscribe button. Click on that. That way you can subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with new videos as I post them on a week-to-week basis. Stay carved up for the win. Stay safe out there. See you next time. Cheers.